In Shane Dawson's I Hate Myselfie 2, we are treated to another short film based on an essay from the now controversial YouTuber's best-selling book. Although I think the terms essay and book make the work sound a lot more highbrow than it actually is. The story structure is more like that of one of those nightmares that get weirder and weirder as the Ambien dissolves in your stomach. And in either case, it does leave me vomiting in the shower the next morning. That's why I have a day pass to shower at my local YMCA. Then it's their problem to clean up. Plus, I love this sexy men's prison vibe. Speaking of broken systems, Shane rose to popularity on YouTube creating content with shocking racial stereotypes or otherwise offensive jokes that mostly just sound like the gross things a 6th grader would say from the back of the class when they aren't getting enough family time at home. Sure, maybe the rude comments get you some extra negative attention, but it might not seem worth it when it comes time for your parents' divorce proceedings and neither of them volunteer for full custody. Let's dive back into the mind of the internet's favorite problem student with an impersonal story about body acceptance that is somehow packed with more fat phobia than all 25 seasons of The Bachelor, and a storyline so undeveloped that even conservatives don't think it has a soul yet. Everybody guard your emotional psyche because we're diving back in for another Shane Dawson installment of Clip Breakdown. Hello television viewers, my name is Nick. Thank you so much for joining me once again on my channel for another installment of Clip Breakdown. This is the playlist where we dive into our favorite movies, TV movies, and other content on the web and dissect it like a dead body. And we take a stool sample from it and put it in a centrifuge to see what's growing in the intestines. That's weird that I said it that way. But also, I feel like that type of digestive material makes sense for what we're about to discuss with Shane Dawson's I Hate Myselfie 2. We've covered I Hate Myselfie 1, so go ahead and check out that video if you haven't yet. Also, before we get into it, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more clip breakdowns on Shane Dawson content. But most importantly, if you're new here, I'd love to have you click that subscribe button. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on those notifications. Also, I've got merch and a Patreon where you can access exclusive content. Like I said, we've covered I Hate Myselfie 1, and it was very confusing. Like the message was something about feeling invisible, but the story was basically non-eventful. These ones have caffeine. And just like before, it starts off with Shane giving a dialogue in some inscrutable home environment.
Here's a riddle for you. How do you get a crowd of 500 people to blow their f***ing brains out simultaneously? Put on a High School Musical.
Oh no, it's another awful chapter of his book, and this time he doesn't know what a riddle is. It's not just a horrifying question. Riddles have a veiled or double meaning that make them difficult to understand, and they're presented as a game. He could have said, what kind of school production would have more death than a Shakespearean tragedy? The spring musical when the whole audience poisons themselves at intermission. You know, then it almost sounds like a riddle. But anyway, that just proves that I'm a better writer than Shane. Either way, the joke itself has nothing to do with what's about to happen in the story that follows, which is exactly what happened with the cold open in the first movie. It doesn't make sense. It's literally just trying to find some sort of shocking thing to say as though that's gonna make me excited for the next 15 minutes of my life. False. I'm gonna take my brain out and put it in a jar of acid. That's how we feel about it. I wanna marinate my brain in some balsamic vinaigrette, caprese style, instead of watch this.
Every high school is known for something.
Such as J.J. Abrams style lens flares. Why is this school lit like an NSYNC music video from 1999? This is something we've seen in other Shane Dawson projects where he sort of just, whoever the cinematographer is for this, they just sort of put a light in the background and shine it right at the camera so you get that lens flare. Some would call it a cinematic lens flare. I would call it distracting. I suppose they want it to look like it's just sunlight flaring through, but to me it always just looks like they put a spotlight at the end of the hall. I don't feel like that's motivated by any sort of window. If they wanted the whole thing to feel sun-drenched, I think we need to have a lot more key lighting on the subjects here. If they could have put up a big silk and lit it as though there's a huge sunny window somewhere else in the school. Otherwise, I just feel like the background is way too bright for the scene. And the same thing happens with the shot we just saw of Shane. They put these lights behind Shane and shine them onto the back of his head. They call it a hair light or a backlight, but it's just it's supposed to give you a little bit of a rim that separates the subject from the background. And with this shot of Shane talking in his home office, by the way, what is this setting? It looks really hot. You know, why is the top of his hair so overexposed? It doesn't look right. It's not properly lit. They could have repositioned that so it's farther behind him, but what do I know? I'm just a guy drinking bubbly bounce. As usual, Shane is wearing his awful fat suit and special effects makeup, which I've already commented on being, you know, the wrong shape in the last video. But we have even more issues in this time around with the attachment. Like, the edges are coming up in almost every shot. It looks weirdly creasy, and his hair is still the same awful length. Like, oh my goodness. But what is also new is Gigi Gorgeous is given a bigger part in this movie. Her character is definitely the clearest out of everybody's. Like, I understand why she's included, but, you know, think what you want about the performance or the comedic timing.
What are you doing?
Signing us up for the musical. Can you not read? Wait, is it your diabetes? Is it affecting your vision? Nurse! Nurse!
Oof, don't worry about it. After seeing that deflated beach ball looking makeup, I'm willing to donate my eyes to you. I just need to find my grapefruit spoon. Even the body padding looks a lot more lumpy than it even did in the first movie. It's almost like he wants to make it really obvious that this is not his real body shape. He needs everybody to know that it's fake fat by making it super unrealistic looking and cartoonish, which not only takes me out of watching the movie, but it also confuses the message of like what he's trying to say that he learned about himself by growing up looking different than he wanted to. He never seems to really get down to what that really taught him, because he seems to still be right in the midst of his self-hatred about that. The only thing more obvious than this fat suit is the fact that Shane somehow believes that by writing short stories and sketches, he doesn't have to learn anything about story structure. He said, maybe I don't have to learn anything if I just treat everything I do like an episode of All That. Also, I noticed they used the same length lens for the close-ups and the wide shots, making everything feel really wide and warped. Maybe it's a stylistic choice. I don't think it is. By the way, do you guys love these resin earrings that Junie sent me from Closed Book Club on Depop? I'll put the link in a pinned comment below. Junie, thank you so much for these. What a wonderful birthday gift. You're so sweet. In this movie, Jane Shane has a love interest named Patty. The names that he chooses for these characters are always like from the 1950s playbook. Not that any of you can't have the name Patty out there. I think it's a lovely name. I just noticed that all of his names are very like cliche, funny, schoolyard, fake names that you would think of with your friends when you're 12.
Hey guys! Are you guys setting up for the musical? Well, I guess I'll see you guys at the auditions then.
Oh my god, that was so scary.
Yeah, that's what I said when I saw that hairstyle from behind as well. Shane says, your character has Victorian rag curls, but can you do your own hair and then drive here in a convertible? Thanks. By the way, if you're wondering why it looks like I have him wearing a pasty, it's my microphone. That's my microphone pasty. This character reeks of cliche. I don't care for her character that much. This actress is doing her very best with the material. Today I learned that a particularly inept director can even make the simple act of closing a locker appear inauthentic. Why does she leave that conspicuously open? Maybe this is all intentionally bad and Shane Dawson is like the Andy Kaufman of filmmaking. Actually, disregard that. I've been saying a lot of crazy stuff since I started painting my living room a few weeks ago. It's taking forever because I'm using spray paint. I tried regular latex, but the fumes don't get me as high. That was a joke. Don't huff paint. Huff fresh mountain air from the dish rag of life. Ah! Ooh! Fresh air on your air nostrils. Anyway, I've worked on a lot of sets that take place in a locker room setting, or like, a school setting. I mean, like, if you work on movies, within a year, you will have been on 3 sets that will take place in a hallway at a school. It's crazy how that happens. Movies have like 3 things in them all together. And I've been on low budget ones where it's like we're in the school and we get it for the weekend and the lockers have built-in locks like that. So if you close it, it automatically locks itself. So you can see all the extras being really careful not to actually close it. And she's doing the same thing so that she can come back and open it up for the next take, because whoever owns the locker is probably not there and they don't know the combination. Or in cases like mine, they would get the combination to a few lockers, decorate them, but then someone would have to come and put the combination in to open it up between takes, which obviously is what you should do if I'm gonna see you not close the locker. But what I would have done is just like, why do we even have to have this shot? Just flip the camera so that I just see her putting her books away and then close the locker. Why am I telling him how to frame his shots up for a movie that came out, what is this, 5 years ago? I guess I'm just letting you all know that as filmmakers, you can shoot it however you want. If something's not gonna look right on camera, you can find another way of shooting that's gonna make the problem go away. Maybe it'll be even better than you would have expected because it gives you a chance to be creative and think outside the box. It's just very utilitarian the way it's shot. Clearly Shane doesn't storyboard things. He's not thinking like a photographer when he frames a shot. I'm not seeing any beautiful imagery or use of the elements. I just wish he tried harder. Actually, you know what? It's better that he didn't try hard because then I can make content about it and I get paid for that. Loving it. Thank you all so much for that part of it, by the way, for watching it, because that's mwah. Back to what this girl had to say about me in the press the other day.
Are you okay, Shane? Well, I gotta go to class. Bye, Shane.
If anyone ever talked to me like she just did, I would think they were an undercover narcotics officer. No, Patty, I don't know of any parties happening this weekend. Why is your face 26? The acting choices are a little obvious here, and I don't think people usually use each other's names within every sentence. Do they, Mackenzie? Anyway, Mackenzie, time to get on to the next clip. Bye, Mackenzie. If your name is Mackenzie and you don't smash that like button right now, then I don't know what the is wrong with you, Mackenzie. Mackenzie, you're never like this, Mackenzie. These have a little caffeine in them. Did I tell you? Not sponsored. Even though the FTC says I don't have to declare when something is not sponsored, you kind of do, because people just assume. All right, let's go back to Gigi. She's gonna do something really brutally graphic here, so I'm gonna censor it, because I'm pretty sure this is not monetizable on YouTube, unless you're Shane Dawson, in which case you might just be able to get some money off of this. This movie is still live on YouTube. I Hate Myselfie 1, for some reason Shane removed. I guess that crossed some lines that this one didn't. I guess it's not as overtly problematic. It didn't have the jokes about like child sex work, but it still is gross.
I hooked up with her boyfriend and he told me. I was all... It was so sweet. I almost cried.
See, if this were a TV show, it would be rated TVMA for Make Me Puke.
The girl who I loved more than I loved eating slices of pumpkin pie on Thanksgiving like they were pizza.
Ooh, nice simile. When you were eating food like another type of food. Shakespeare. In the park. As in, you should sleep in the park because you deserve some cold nights. Back to this girl.
She had beautiful curly blonde hair, big doughy eyes that caught the light perfectly.
Okay, baby, the expression is doe-eyed, as in like those of a female deer. Not doughy-eyed like she's a Pillsbury dinner roll fresh out the tube. You can tell Shane's ego was so big that he never bothered to let another person edit it. Like, I feel like his writing always needs to be looked over by somebody else with a better command of the English language. And that's coming from someone who accidentally used the phrase piss puddle at a job interview. It makes sense if you've ever had to clean a Dunkin' Donuts. The way Shane always writes about female characters is so inauthentic. He's always like, she had these perfect eyes and hair that was all the way there. And when I saw her shoulders, they looked like the arms of a couch, sort of. And I loved that. It made my penis sweat. Like, okay. Write what you know, not what you think people are expecting to hear because of a heteronormative society. Get that wig off your head and live your truth.
She's so perfect for a fat girl.
That was actually all it said on the casting breakdown that Shane wrote for that character. It's absolutely insane to me that Shane can write such fat-phobic dialogue in a story that he claims to be about some sort of body acceptance. Actually, he probably doesn't. Like, I really think he finished all of these essays, and in each one he didn't know what he was trying to say with them. Because I for the life of me, can't figure out who this story is about. We never once hear about what he's learning from this experience, and we never really get a feel for how it improves Patty's life either. But the tone of it implies that Shane really thinks he's doing something brave and special here. I'm not even that delusional, and I sent an unsolicited portfolio to an agency for hand models, as though my thumbs don't look like the back end of a hammer. Anyway, what was I saying about body acceptance? So it comes time for the auditions, and we get this crazy teacher character. I mean, just like we had in the last movie, right? Some crazy teacher character. So was I Hate Myselfie just all about his high school experience, like trying to make it sound meaningful? Because these stories sound bland as hell.
My name is Mr. O, and I'll be directing this year's High School Musical. That's when you clap.
I'm not gonna clap when you're supposed to be playing a crazy character, but you're clearly wearing the same jeans that you showed up to the set in. Shane really relies on all of the crazy characters in his stories. From his early YouTube videos where he played a bunch of impressions and was his own crazy family, to these essays where it's always like, and there was my teacher, she was a drunk, or the nutso lunch lady said she poisoned up the fish stick. It's very like a one-man show where he's like, in my life, we had a lot of crazy characters, like my Aunt Sally. Oh, hey, over there. there. Like, we don't want it. We don't want it. Put it back in the box and ship it back. Return to vendor. But anyway, if the whole thing relies on his crazy characters and he's gonna cast people that play crazy characters, I think paying a little more attention to the wardrobe and the costume choices would help sell that and make it a part of the story. But he clearly just had people bring options. It cost very little. For Shane Dawson to add a wardrobe stylist to this set would have been like a nominal expense compared to renting out this school, getting the cinematographer, and it would have done wonders for every shot because you want the characters to be clear right off the bat. If you just wanted a guy wearing eyeliner who talks too loud, you could have hired me back when I worked at that beauty supply store in Chelsea. I was insufferable, but I would let you shoplift makeup if I could practice filling in your eyebrows.
Let's begin.
Question for the cinematographer, why did you shoot this whole movie through the peephole at an adult bookstore? The actors on the edge of the frame look like they're getting sucked into Jumanji. Literally, I don't understand what kind of camera they shot this on. I mean, the camera is one thing, but the lens seems to be like a fisheye lens of some sort that they use for literally every shot. Some more self-deprecating humor from Shane. I mean, is there anything original to this?
525,000.
You're fat.
While I wait for a joke that is successful and not lazy or obvious, I'm going to practice my astral projection. Okay, I don't know what happened, but my bladder has just started emptying itself involuntarily. This is Shane Dawson's fault too. Get him! Here we see some other familiar faces from Shane's early career.
Nobody talks to me here. Is it because of my foreskin?
Shane's former friend Drew Monson, everybody, reminding us that a quirky delivery does not always make for a good improvisation. Sorry, Drew, but the Upright Citizens Brigade called and they want the grizzled corpse of their teachings back. I don't think Drew Monson is unfunny, but I think that Shane over-relied on his improvisation because then he would get on set and be like, I'm just gonna say whatever, and if it's not getting laughs, I won't know because there's no live audience to indicate whether it's good comedy or not. So Shane will just put it in the movie and then I will have to pretend like it's funny. Also with the fat jokes, like imagine if you were a child or a teenager who was struggling with your own body image and thought that you were overweight, and then you see something like this where it's just like confirms it in somebody's eyes that you look up to. They're making all these fat jokes. Like I can't imagine how that must have hurt people's feelings while still making them feel like I have to laugh at this because I'm a stan. Mama. Everyone go see a therapist right now or do it after this video. Next year is fine. It gets to be time for the Patty to audition. Let's see how that goes.
Baby, bring me back to life. Baby, hold on, I just want you to stay. Baby, stay.
How many times are you gonna cram the word baby into this song? I threw that thing out with the bathwater. What? I didn't want either thing. What am I gonna do with a baby or its bathwater? Oh baby, hold on, I just want you to stay. Baby, stay. Like, okay, you really spent 3 seconds writing that song. The next morning, the teacher posts the list from the audition to see who got what.
Last night, I got off on the wrong exit, and I just went with it. Because I party.
Ignore that the teacher is acting like a completely different character all of a sudden, and instead choose to get mad about the lighting with me. They needed to hang like a silk that would have diffused these harsh shadows coming from the light through a tree. All of those all those dappled shadows are making this look messy, and it's even preventing me from seeing the black eye makeup that's supposed to be selling this joke that he's like a mess. Also, it's just like this character is like an amalgamation of different cliches. You've got like the flamboyant music teacher cliche. You got like the sort of like parties too hard alcoholic teacher cliche, but it's like you can't have it be a different thing in each scene. Also, this guy is Billy Eichnering so hard that he's gonna get sued. Oh, baby, I just want you to stay. Also, what is with the pacing of this? We just spent like 7 minutes getting through half the movie, getting through the audition process, and then Shane doesn't even get a part. Like, it's not even about Shane. It's all about this girl. It kind of starts to be about his experience with theater. Confusing. I'm confused.
A week later, we started doing rehearsals. We were on the auditorium stage, working out our moves and our songs.
Seems like we just got to the middle part of the story where Shane didn't feel like writing anymore. anything. How come I have to spend more time watching this short film than Shane did putting the script together? This narration sounds completely improvised, and if it's not, then that's even worse. And it's just another weeks-long time jump like we got as the second act of the first Myselfie film. All these numbers. We are on the auditorium stage, working out our moves and our songs. Okay, what? So nothing else interesting happened during that whole rehearsal process? Like nothing about what it was like for you to learn how to sing? Was it hard for you to be on stage? Were you self-conscious of your body? That kind of would be an area that you would think the story would go. Like, was he learning to become more confident through it? That would have been something interesting to maybe teach kids about. Doesn't seem to be what the basis of the story is though, because he's more focused on this other girl. Oh, and in the first movie, this was like basically Jeremy Lee's character asked him to the prom, and then he's like, and a week later, I showed up to the prom to bring her. And it's like, okay. So it's just two events, beginning and end, no middle.
In between songs, we'd hang out backstage, and the conversations were a lot more sexual than I was expecting.
That's how I lost my virginity to this protractor.
First of all, why do you still carry that around with you? Second of all, it's not that unusual to be curious if your genitals form an obtuse or acute angle. My exists in a fifth dimension where the government can't control what I do with it. Shane does his best with this writing to romanticize the romantic interest of his movie, but it, again, just falls flat for me. I'm like, what do you like about her? Her elbows?
Patty wasn't really into the sex talk. She actually didn't talk to anybody at all.
Oh my god, did you guys see Shane's Oscar-winning portrayal of someone remembering something just now? Like, is the narrator of this story supposed to be telling a trite, overwritten story, or just making this up as they go? She actually didn't talk to anybody at all. Oh, now we're looking off to the side and thinking. I just hated that for 1 second, all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna really act for them. Act a fool.
She had a way about her that made her seem better than everyone else. But nobody was mad at her for that. Everyone felt like she really was better.
Yeah, because when the lead actress in a school play thinks she's superior, the rest of the kids always agree with her. When I did youth theater, the girl who played Cinderella didn't drink, so we made a hate website about her, of which I'm still proudly the webmaster, so please visit www.straightedgesarahsucks.com. I don't know why Shane can never give us any scene that isn't just guided by this narration. He's literally telling me something about her while I just see her sitting still on a stage. Like, if you're gonna have her be superior, why not just give me an example of how that played out? You know, is it like, oh, we're all talking about sex stuff and she's like, oh, I don't want to talk about that. And they're like, well, you're just too busy being an amazing actress. Like, show me how you think that the kids actually agreed with her, that she was somehow superior. Because I don't think A, that that's necessarily true. And B, I mean, you gotta show me, don't tell me. You know what, don't do either, just sedate me. Not show, not tell, just knock me out with a hammer. A rubber mallet to the noggin would do.
For some reason, I felt a connection with her. There was something sad and I couldn't really put my finger on it. I knew that deep down underneath that perfect exterior, something was broken and felt sure it was something I could relate to.
Could it be that you're both able to smell the rancid, sweat-soaked fat suit that's hanging off your body right now? He said, she seemed sad, as though a filmmaker had written tasteless fat jokes about her and cast her alongside another character who's mocking obesity. What a mystery. I just hate this whole part. It seemed like something that I could relate to. Like, what could you be talking about? Could it be the obvious fat suit that you're wearing and the fact that you cast someone and keep referring to her as fat? Real subtle, real subtle. It's also like, give me that through a conversation. My first conversation that I see between these two characters is right here at the end. Did he talk to her at all throughout the whole time that they were getting ready for the play? Was there any sort of interaction on stage that made him see that this might be coming? All we saw is her sitting and reading a script in the spotlight. Like, you guys, this is so garbage. It's not even a short film. It's just like him reading a book on tape and putting some unrelated visuals to it for the most part.
Patty?
Hey. I was just getting ready.
Looking at her outfit, I could tell that she was feeling really self-conscious.
Well, I mean, how does that costume make sense for playing Goody Proctor in The Crucible? Like, what musical is this supposed to be that takes place in a Dr. Seuss old-timey brothel? They literally just went to Party City and got a bunch of feather boas and were like, this'll do. Again, like, you can tell the costume and the set design was such an afterthought for all of these things, which is such a pain, because those things don't cost that much. To buy the right, nice-looking things that have a cohesive story, like, it just takes a little extra planning. It just takes someone to care about it.
I ate my brother's entire birthday cake, and now I feel so fat, and nothing is fitting.
Sweetheart, you're not gonna get good advice on body image issues from this guy. You can tell he hates himself just from the emojis he uses. This is the part in the Shane Dawson film where it gets overly sappy, they play some sad music, and Shane does his best to write meaningful dialogue based on a bunch of like teen TV shows he might have seen on the CW. Honestly, it's all so trite and formulaic, it makes me sick. sick. Not like physically sick, but like, I do this a lot. I cringe at it. I'm like, ugh, sick. Like when you look at a scab and it has a bunch of pus on it. That's how I feel.
So much pressure. Sometimes I wonder if it would be easier if I was just invisible.
Yeah, I know how that feels.
You do? Because the first I Hate Myselfie movie was all about how you felt like you were invisible. But now invisibility is what you want? And you still have that awful wig on your head by Cynthia Nixon for The Morgue. You just really don't give a about what my eyes perceive, do you? I can already see it. Yeah, so I guess it just switched from one essay to another within the same high school experience, because literally the first I Hate Myselfie movie was like Gigi Gorgeous bumped into him because he was invisible to people. He was being completely ignored at the prom. Now he's saying he wishes he was invisible because everyone stares at him. That was never established. I hate it. It doesn't make any sense. Like I try to make sense of it, but it doesn't make sense of it. And that just makes me mad because I know that Shane Dawson didn't even think that it needed to make sense or didn't even consider putting a logical story together. That to me is like the most important part. This got on the New York Times bestseller list? Couldn't be me.
Something happened where I wanted to do something so bad and I chickened out and I couldn't even say anything. Don't do that.
Well, this is really sentimental and all, but the play's about to start and it looks like you need a little more spirit gum to stick down the edges of your sex doll face. He legit looks like a clown.
You gotta get out there and you gotta show those assholes what you got.
Thanks for the non-advice, fellow self-loathing classmate. This body positivity means so much coming from someone who just made several horribly degrading comments about their own obesity. He tries to make her feel better by being like, you think you're fat? I just ate 3 sheet cakes in the car. And it's like, that doesn't change the way she feels about herself. Like you're not really helping. And again, it's just like flipping the roles on the advice that the teacher gave. Basically, she was out at the prom being like, you gotta just go out there in a few years, these assholes won't even matter, and like you just gotta go out there and dance and show, who cares about these assholes? And now he's being like, we just gotta go out there and show those assholes. It's like, but they all liked her. You just said that. So who is she showing? It just is positioning yourself as the victim against what? Against what? Who are you mad at? Who are you better than? I'm confused. Like his pep talk doesn't even do anything. So I don't understand how he's the hero all of a sudden. And that's what really bothers me is that that's all he's really trying to do with this is position himself as like the eternal nice guy. Even though he was overweight, he had the empathy and the sympathy to see that someone else was struggling when nobody else did. And that's why he was able to use his humor to cheer her up and convince her to go back on stage. Like, you're just trying to make yourself look good, but you just made yourself look dumb. Anyway, she's somehow back on her bullshit. Okay, I love when a singer has nothing to do at the end of their number, so they just pose like they are stepping through a magical waterfall. They just go, yes, I nailed my part of this train wreck. Stay with me, yeah. Okay, that's enough of that. And just so that you don't feel too sure of what the message was here, young audience, let's confuse it even more.
Who's hungry?
It's funny because he's fat.
So was the lesson here that it's okay to be fat because there will always be someone who's fatter? Well, I hope you enjoy your depression, children. Hopefully one day you can work with a professional to trace your mental illness back to the exact timestamp within a 2015 YouTube video. Because then you get a coupon for a free personal pan pizza from Pizza Hut. Literally, he just spent his time convincing this woman that no one was gonna laugh at her when she went on stage. And then he went on stage and everybody laughed at him for the exact same thing. What is the difference? What is the standard here? Because she could sing. So if you can sing, you're not gonna get made fun of. As long as you're good at something, I don't get it. I hate it. In fact, I hate it. We get that Reading Rainbow transition where they're like, it was a book. And then of course, it ends with Shane Dawson begging us to buy something or love him or whatever the hell.
Hey, what's up you guys? I really hope you enjoyed that. That was one of the chapters of my book, I Hate Myselfie.
Yeah, we know because we just saw it. Also, why were you recording this narration from the break room at a Panera Bread? Oh, just behind Shane, you'll see his office printer that coughed up the manuscript for his terrible book on loan from Ed and Lorraine Warren. Lorraine Warren and Eileen Warnos, more like, oh. Anyway, that's all she wrote for I Hate Myselfie 2. I'm glad these are the only 2 short stories that he chose to put to film from that book because it's not getting any better. And if this is the quality of writing that is to be expected from his entire book of essays, then baby, mama, I hope those books are biodegradable because it's garbage. But anyway, let me know your thoughts and what other other Shane Dawson content I've yet to explore, because I feel like I'm scraping through trying to see what else he's done, but I mean, actually there's plenty, so let me know. Also, as I said, make sure you give this video a big thumbs up if you want to see even more Shane Dawson clip breakdown, and make sure you click that subscribe button right down there. That way you never miss new videos from me. I upload 2 new ones every week, so turn on notifications and you'll always be the first to know when I've got a fresh new dead thing to look at. Also, I've got merch available and a Patreon where you can get monthly bonus episodes of clip breakdown, exclusive watch parties, and lots of other fun stuff. You guys are all the greatest. Thank you for hating his selfie with me today. I will see you next time.